cloudy tonight to the overnight low. Winds will let up. Partly cloudy skies and cold.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to be back today, and things went well yesterday, so I'm doing well. Good news. Let's get after it. And away we go.
The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage Show.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. It's great to have you along on this Wednesday, December 4th. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. And it's nice to be back today. Thanks for all the well wishes, folks who on social media were incredibly kind. It was good news yesterday. More good news. They don't want to see me. They told me to get out. Get out. We don't want to get out. It was a follow-up appointment. I have been doing annual appointments following my stroke a few years ago. And so I went in yesterday and I had a CT scan and then go in to meet with them, and they talk about what they're seeing. And they said, good news, we don't want to see you for 2 years. So come back in 2 years. I've been going in every year since the stroke. So 2 years, I'll go back in again and we'll see how things are doing. So everything's great. So sorry to be gone yesterday. Glad to be back at it this morning. The big story, you just heard from Tom Rooney a few moments ago. Governor Kristi Noem talking about these are hard times for state government right now. Talking about the state treasury will be bringing in about $26 million less than expected. And she proposed a number of different things, trimming millions from the maintenance and repair budget, $5 million from temporary aid to needy families, $3.6 million from South Dakota Public Broadcasting, $2 million for the state budget, the State Board of Regents, $1 million from the state library budget, and also $1 million from the Governor's Office of Economic Development Marketing. And one of the things that she talked about, and you heard Tom mention this a few minutes ago, and I think it's worth discussing. What do you think of the tax cut? Because one of the things that she had talked about, keep in mind that, you and I have been paying, this is the sales tax reduction portion of this. And she would like to make that permanent. So how do you feel about that? I think that's worth talking about a little bit this morning, and we'll get your feedback on it. We wound up talking about so many national issues. There are a lot of things, and I'll get to national issues coming up here in just a moment. But let's talk about this. What the governor is proposing, and the governor, among the comments that she made, she said, "Our state is an example of fiscal responsibility, of limited government, of what can be accomplished when we trust in our people and respect their freedom," she said. "We don't just talk about these things. We make the tough decisions to back up those words with action, and the results prove our approach is correct," said Governor Noem. So her budget proposal, she said, wants to continue investing in the state's workforce by furthering targeted pay increases for big three employees, those working in schools, state government, and healthcare. And the recommendation was a 1.25% pay increase for those employees. So there's a lot to cover with the state budget. She was talking about cuts to the education savings account. She said that would not result in any cuts to public education. She said, we want those students to receive the education that's best for them and to have the freedom to do so. I look forward to working with both legislative chambers to get this done, she said. And then she talked about healthcare as well. So those are, and again, we'll get your reaction on this coming up this morning. So that's a very big story. Also, Pete Hegseth has been a big story, and you just heard this from Fox News moments ago, that Donald Trump, things are looking a little bit rocky for Pete Hegseth and his nomination as a defense secretary. And according to a report, this was the Wall Street Journal who first reported this, Donald Trump is considering Florida Governor Ron DeSantis then as defense secretary. So this, the Hill is saying this would be a shocking turn for Donald Trump because of the relationship. I don't know. It's one thing when DeSantis was running against Trump and Trump was running for re-election. But I think what we have seen are, differences. They disagree about things. But I think this is shocking only to the Hill. Are you surprised by this? I don't think I would be, not at all. I think Donald Trump is looking for the best people for the jobs, and folks that he knows that he can depend on and trust. So if Pete Hegseth then winds up having to withdraw, or we'll see what happens. Washington Examiner's got a piece this morning that Pete Hegseth's drinking, they say, was such a problem that it worried many of his colleagues at Fox News. This was according to a report published by NBC News. So apparently, according to 10 employees who worked alongside Hegseth, they suspected him of being under the influence of alcohol. However, two of Hegseth's colleagues at Fox News came to his defense and denounced the report. And they say it's untrue. Will Cain and Rachel Campos Duffy, they worked, now keep in mind, they worked right alongside of Hegseth at Fox on Fox and Friends Weekend. And they said the reports are bogus. And Will Cain said bull. He said 100% bull. He went on. He's using some terminology here I cannot use. So, and Cain said, your story is blank. NBC News, put my name on it, on the record. I'll be your only on-the-record source. Signed, the guy who sat next to him for 8 years every week for 5 years, starting at 6 a.m. And then Rachel Campos Duffy reached out with a post of her own, and she said, the losers at NBC News never reached out to me either. Will Cain is right. Your story is blank. Horse blank. You now have two people who sat next to him 8+ hours a week on the record. Will you retract or correct your story? So this is also Donald Trump's nominee for the Drug Enforcement Administration announced on Tuesday that this would have been yesterday, that he was withdrawing his consideration. So he hadn't been in it very long, and this is Sheriff Chad Cronister from Florida. And he said in a post on X last night that he would instead tend to his current duties. And he said, over the past several days, as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, I've concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from consideration. And that's the thing. Can you imagine this? I really can. I think especially given the complete wreck that the country is right now. So you have conversations, would you be willing to do this? Yes, absolutely. And then, then you start looking at it and sometimes you make a decision and then it sits with you for a little bit. You kind of, and you're like, yeah, I don't know if this is. I mean, I feel badly for him. I think the going through the nomination process and confirmation process would be incredibly difficult. It's not for everybody. But you would hope that people come to that realization before Donald Trump, names them. But so he said there's more work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County and a lot of initiatives that I'm committed to fulfilling. He said, I sincerely appreciate the nomination, outpouring of support by the American people. Look forward to continuing my service as sheriff of Hillsborough County. So he has withdrawn his nomination then to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration. And I think there are going to be others who will be equally able to proceed in that position. Also, a big story this morning. A judge terminated Hunter Biden's tax case yesterday. And this is Judge Mark Scarsey wrote in a 5-page order that representations that were made by the president in his press release about the pardon stand in tension with the case record. In other words, are not supported by the facts. I don't think anybody is surprised by this. The judge said he also disapproved of the president's announcement because it disparaged a wide range of public officials. And he said the pardon itself improperly covered hours worth of future conduct. So he said the president asserts that Mr. Biden, he's talking about Hunter Biden here, that Hunter was treated differently from others who were paying their taxes because of serious addictions, implying that Mr. Biden was among those individuals who untimely paid taxes he was among those individuals who untimely paid taxes due to addiction, but he is not, he said. So Hunter Biden pled guilty to the 9 tax charges. He admitted that every accusation made by special counsel David Weiss in his indictment was true, that he committed tax crimes, and he did it while he was sober. So Scarsey also observed the president's claim that his son was singled out, treated differently, implied that many employees in the legal system acted out of line. And Scarsey said 2 federal judges expressly rejected Mr. Biden's arguments that the government prosecuted Mr. Biden because of his family relation to the president. And the president's own attorney general and Department of Justice personnel oversaw the investigation leading to the charges. In the president's estimation, this legion of federal civil servants, the undersigned included, are unreasonable people. This is what the president's saying. And so Scarcy taking quite a bit of issue. Of course, he can do nothing about the pardon. The pardon is done. That's a done deal. But the judge certainly making his voice heard. This is interesting because Newsmax talked to Alan Dershowitz, and he said that the president should have commuted the sentence rather than issue a full pardon, because now Hunter Biden can be called to testify before Congress and won't be able to invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. He's been pardoned of all those things. So he gets called before Congress. He can't say, well, it's I can't, I may incriminate myself. No, you won't. You've received a pardon for an over 10-year period. You won't. And so Dershowitz said Hunter Biden can now be called by Republican-controlled committees in Congress, by grand juries, to testify against his uncle, possibly even his father. Had he gotten a commutation, he'd still have the Fifth Amendment. May turn out to backfire against Hunter Biden himself, who will have a career now as a star witness if the Trump administration decides to call him, and if congressional committees decide to call him. So may not be over yet for Hunter Biden. Meanwhile, there's the three former aides to President Obama who are also railing against President Joe Biden for lying and making his defenders look like they're full of crap, they're saying. They call themselves the Obama Bros, and they were in the Obama White House, obviously. And so the Obama Bros, they become known as. And one of them said, well, he understood Biden's decision on a human level, but he was frustrated that the president had made his defenders in the Democratic Party look stupid by reneging on his pledge. And he said, now everyone looks stupid. Now looks like they're full of crap, he said. And Republicans are going to use this to argue it was politics as usual when Democrats warned of Trump's corruption or threat to the rule or the threat to democracy. I think that's the piece of this that I'm most frustrated with, they're saying. So is that Joe Biden looks now like a typical lying politician. This is coming from Democrats, not coming from me. I already knew he was a typical lying politician. These folks are quite shook up about it. Senator Tommy Tuberville also was reacting then to the president's decision. You may have heard this. He said, well, and we talked about this the other day. We talked about this on Monday. And Tuberville said, well, I'll put it this way. If it was my son, I'd pardon him too. But here's what I didn't like. Don't lie to us. Don't tell us you're not going to do it and then do it. Again, I expected that. That's who Joe Biden is. It's just who he is. So he was telling us he wouldn't do it, and I knew he would do it, and he proved us right. And then to hear Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday out at the White House Ministry of Truth trying to defend this, is just like, wow. Just when you thought that the train wreck of the Democrat Party couldn't get any worse. Oh, it gets worse. It gets worse. Also, we talked about Kash Patel the other day, Donald Trump's pick to run the FBI. Kash Patel, he was told he'd been targeted by Iranian hackers. And sources told CNN that the hackers likely accessed some of his communications. And Trump's team responded in a statement saying that Kash Patel was a big part of the first Trump administration efforts against the terrorist Iranian regime and will implement President Trump's policies then to protect America from adversaries as the FBI director. So this is also a big story this morning. Kash Patel being targeted by Iran in a hack. Also, Donald Trump's transition team now reached an agreement yesterday with the Justice Department, so that'll allow them now to submit names for background checks and security clearances. So that's also getting underway. That had been a little bit delayed. There had been some concern from some. And I thought this will get solved. They'll come to an agreement, and here we are. They came to an agreement. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for letting me join you. 626, partly cloudy and 35. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weekday mornings at 9.
Okay.
News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. See in-store details about how to get rebates from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson Picture and Combination Windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today. That's ABC Seamless.
At Bethany Homes, Sioux Falls, Brandon, and Meadows, we believe that our employees are our greatest asset. If you're ready to share your heart and skills, join our Bethany family and be rewarded. Apply on our careers page at mybethanyhome.org. Bethany is church-owned, faith-based, and spiritually guided.
So I'm sorry it was not here yesterday. I went in for a CT scan yesterday, and I needed to be in early for that. And then like 90 minutes later, then I had an appointment after the scan. Then I had an appointment with the surgeon's team as they take a look at my the stent. And again, it's in my brain. It's up. So, and they said everything looks good. So they didn't want to see me for 2 years, which was great. And they were smiling. You know, these are folks that are used to giving people a lot of bad news. You know, folks are going through various issues, and so she was bright and smiling the entire time, and I'm like, well, you're making me feel great, and they're like, just keep doing everything you're doing. Like, you really want to tell me that? So it was good news yesterday. So sorry to be gone. I would have arranged that differently if I could have. It just wasn't possible. So, okay.
Partly cloudy and windy.
That's what I
want. The high temperature early in the day at 36, then falling for the afternoon. With strong northwest winds 20 to 40 miles per hour. Partly cloudy this evening and tonight. Cold will fall to 2 degrees as winds will start to let up. Cold tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 17 with light wind. Meadowland Storm Center.
And in Sioux Falls at 629, partly cloudy, 35 currently at Kello. Tom Rooney is in the Kello.com News Center this morning. We'll check in with Tom here shortly. Governor Kristi Noem talking about state numbers and cuts, and the state taking in quite a bit less money than expected, about $26 million less than anticipated. So she talked about cuts to various agencies. Tom will have details on that story for you coming up here in just moments. Also, Fox News Radio coming up fast. So thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. Always great to have you here. You're listening to Kello.
Have to consider a new defense secretary nominee, with some senators concerned about reports of problems with drinking and women and mismanaging a veterans charity.
The Wall Street Journal is now reporting that Trump is considering replacing Hegseth with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The Journal writes, Trump allies increasingly think Hegseth may not survive further scrutiny.
Fox's Bill Malugin. Supreme Court hears arguments today about a Tennessee ban on treatments for transgender teenagers.
It prohibits doctors from performing gender reassignment surgery on children under the age of 18. It also prohibits prescribing puberty blockers and hormone therapy for gender reassignment.
Fox's Todd Pyro. There's a move in South Korea's parliament to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol after voting to reject his declaration of emergency martial law. America's listening to Fox News.
News brought to you by Sioux Falls Implant and Sedation Dentistry. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Tom Rooney. A month after the election, and Minnehaha County Commissioners and County Auditor Leah Anderson are still disputing her handling of the 2024 vote. Commissioner Joe Kipley criticized what he called a disorganized legislative race recount in District 15.
So I think we have to have some better leadership of this process. I think this could have been run better from some of the people that were participants involved.
I disagree with Commissioner Kipley. When I went through these procedures, the referee was very quick to shut me down and not tell them how to do the recount.
Candidate Joni Cheddar lost the election by just 9 votes after the recount, but she thanked the auditor's office for what she called their tireless efforts in the process. More prison money, permanent tax cuts, and school choice. Those are the key components of Governor Kristi Noem's proposed budget delivered to legislators in Pierre yesterday. South Dakota Public Broadcasting would be among the hardest hit by budget cuts. Mayor Paul Tenhaken will be taking stock later this morning of what has become a more difficult year financially for Sioux Falls city government. That will lead into a news conference he'll hold tomorrow to lay out city plans for 2025. And oversized vehicles will no longer be allowed to park in part of downtown Sioux Falls starting next May. City councilors voted 7-1 to make 142 parking spots on Phillips Avenue off limits to larger SUVs and pickups. The ordinance was sponsored by City Councilor Jennifer Siggety.
That still leaves well over 3,800 parking spots, and we certainly want everyone to come down and enjoy our wonderful downtown, but we really, it's a safety issue that we don't want trucks or very large vehicles out into the lanes obstructing drivers.
The ordinance is modeled after similar measures in Omaha and Rapid City. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Tom Rooney.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Partly cloudy skies today, very windy. We'll have an early high temperature at 36 and then falling during the afternoon. Northwest winds 20 to 40 miles per hour, the occasional higher gust. Partly cloudy tonight to the overnight low. Winds will let up. Partly cloudy skies and cold for tomorrow. High temperature of 17 with a light wind. From the Kello Storm Center, I'm Scott Mark.
When you need to know, depend on Kello. News Talk 1320 107.9 and Kello.com.
We've heard many of President-elect Trump's early goals: deportations of the most dangerous undocumented migrants, dismantling the Department of Education, and turning power back to the states and local schools. And there's Elon Musk, looking to carve out $2 trillion in government waste. But what about big tech? Trump's been at odds with them for years. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning for free at netsuite.com/Kim. Okay, my predictions start with TikTok. If Trump can ban its operation in the United States with an executive order and without Congress, he will. What about free speech on social media? Well, phone companies have no say in what their users do. His new chairman of the FCC is in favor of making social media operate like a phone company. Millions of citizens, both liberal and conservative, agree. And what about the big tech breakups? You betcha. Look for Alphabet and Google to be the first. Enter to win a $500 Amazon gift card at winfromkim.com. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 40,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time on what's next. If I had needed this product, it's exactly what I would use. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. This guide is free to you right now at netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available, 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Connect directly, bid confidently. At Purple Wave,
So yesterday,
transparency is key.
going in for that CT scan, and I thought, okay, it's 8 o'clock, and generally, you know, you want to be at your appointments. They ask you to come in early. So generally about a half hour early. And so I'm moving under that. And then I'm looking at, you know, the appointment date and so on. And no, it's an hour early. And as I'm reading that, it's less than an hour to get there. So I have to rush over. It was there in plenty of time. I need not have worried. Like most things, you find yourself worrying about things that you never really needed to worry about in the first place. That's true, actually. Most of us end up worrying about things that never happened. So everything was fine. And then it was all good news. I was just excited about that. The CT scan's a little bit unnerving doing that. That's, you know, sitting in the tube and they're running you back and forth. But they told me everything still looks good. Don't come back for 2 years.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping.
But she was smiling as she's sharing the news with me. And when you see your doctor smiling, that's always a good sign.
Every second. If your identity's stolen, their U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun. And
that's always a bit of a
save up to 40%
relief. You know, I don't worry about it, and yet at the same time, it's, you know, it's kind of a weight off your shoulders, you know.
Belfrage Show with insightful opinions on the latest stories and frequent weather updates. It'll get you in the know while you're getting ready to go. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
6:39, partly cloudy, and 35. Good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. Thanks so much for letting me join you this morning. Sorry to be gone yesterday. Nice to be back today. Everything's going great. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
It's trending now.
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
All right, story is trending this morning. Chad Cronister has removed himself from consideration to head the Drug Enforcement Agency just 2 days after Donald Trump announced that Cronister was Trump's pick. And he said, over the past several days, as the gravity of this very important responsibility set in, I've concluded that I must respectfully withdraw from consideration. He said there's more work to be done for the citizens of Hillsborough County. A lot of initiatives I'm committed to fulfilling. And you got to wonder, you know, the You know, it sounds great. The president wants you and to do this, and then the gravity of that job and the responsibility that it will entail. Ooh, it's a lot to take on. Also, Donald Trump saying that he'll attend the reopening celebration for Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris this weekend. This will be Donald Trump's first foreign trip since the election. And he was asked to be there. So the cathedral set to reopen Saturday after more than 5 years of reconstruction after a fire had nearly destroyed the entire thing. So the ceremonies are being held Saturday and Sunday, will be high security affairs. And so Trump announced this on True Social Monday night. He said, "It's an honor to announce I'll be traveling to Paris on Saturday to attend the reopening," he said, "which has been fully restored after a devastating fire 5 years ago. President Emmanuel Macron has done a wonderful job ensuring that Notre Dame has been restored to its full level of glory, and even more so. It will be a very special day for all." So this will be Donald Trump's first trip since abroad since the election. Also, Iowa officials yesterday sued the Biden administration for access to information on the citizenship status of more than 2,000 registered voters that they had questioned in the weeks leading up to the election this year. So Iowa has been going back and forth with the federal government after state election officials checked voter rolls against a list of people who identified themselves as non-citizens with the State Department of Transportation. And the vast majority of the nearly 2,200 names had subsequently registered to vote or voted. Meaning that some of those people could have become naturalized citizens. But Iowa is suing over the issue. Also, Donald Trump is underscoring his intention now to block the purchase of U.S. steel by a Japanese steel maker. And he's pledging to use tax incentives and tariffs then to help U.S. steel. So Trump had promised early in the campaign that he would instantaneously block the deal. And he reiterated that on True Social on Monday night. He said, "I'm totally against the once great and powerful U.S. steel being bought by a foreign company, and will use tax incentives and tariffs to make U.S. steel strong and great again, and it will happen fast," Trump said. "As president, I will block this deal from happening. Buyer beware," Trump said on True Social. See what else is trending this morning. Kash Patel, Donald Trump's pick to lead the FBI, has been targeted by Iran in a hack. So he's part of an Iranian hack, according to a couple of people who spoke to CNN. So hackers are believed to access at least some of his communications, according to one of the sources. Also, Donald Trump telling he was trolling Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at their meeting last week. But according to reports, Trump suggested making Canada the 51st state. Trump, according to Fox News, Trump made the suggestion when he demanded that Trudeau do more to stop illegal immigration and drug trafficking across the northern border. And so and then he posted a photo on True Social, him standing on a mountaintop, the Canadian flag. Oh, Canada, he wrote. So I think he's trolling Canada here a little bit to try to get them on board. Also, U.S. Representative Jared Moskowitz of Florida is a Democrat. And now he becomes the first Democrat to join the Department of Government Efficiency. That's the agency that'll be run by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And so Jared Moskowitz will be on it. He said, I believe that streamlining government processes and reducing ineffective government spending should not be a partisan issue. I've been clear on that. There are ways we can reorganize our government, to make it work better for the American people. So he's on board, and then he's asked by Jake Tapper at CNN, why would he join this? Caucus? And he said, I joined with a specific focus because I've been working on for years trying to get FEMA out of the Department of Homeland Security. I think the Department of Homeland, now keep in mind he's from Florida. He said, I think the Department of Homeland Security was a great idea. I think it's still necessary, but I think over the last 20 years, it's become too big. And so I think FEMA needs to be a direct report to the White House like it was when it was originally created. I think there's evidence that Secret Service probably should come out of DHS and also be a direct report to the White House. So, interesting. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden yesterday toured a slavery museum in Angola. He is traveling in Africa right now. And this is the first trip by a U.S. president to Angola. And when he spoke to the president of Angola, he said the United States is all in on Africa. That's what Joe Biden is saying. I never even believed during Joe Biden's presidency that they were all in on this country, that they were all in on America. So, Daniel Penny, remember he's charged in the death of Jordan Neely. Jury has been deliberating his fate. He had Jordan Neely in a chokehold on a New York subway when he passed away. So they are currently deliberating. That's where that stands. Also, alcohol-related deaths have seen a huge increase in the United States, nearly doubling over 20 years. And according to a new study, a growing number of victims are women. And they said while men had higher overall death rates, women experienced a larger relative increase, which may reflect changing social norms and the alcohol industry's increased targeting of women through their marketing campaigns. So U.S. alcohol-related deaths have nearly doubled in the past 20 years, which I really don't, I'm not trying to diminish that news. It's unfortunate. Again, keep in mind, I lost my own mother, as well as other family members to alcoholism. So I take it very, very seriously. But it's also not much of a surprise, really, when you look at the American culture today. and what we see happening around the country, that people are turning more and more to alcohol. And in fact, in a lot of ways, you've got not only alcohol, but drugs and that are just celebrated by a growing number of people. And that's the impact. Growing number of women who are dying now from alcoholism, and having seen those numbers, then, they've risen significantly in the course of the last 20 years. This is an incredible story. This woman from Ohio, Alex Farrell, who killed and ate a cat. Yeah, you heard that correctly. She was sentenced on Monday. She was sentenced to 12 months in prison. So she pled guilty to cruelty to companion animals. That's a 5th-degree felony. She was sentenced to 3 years of probation for a child endangerment charge. However, her probation was revoked following this new case. So it means 18 months in prison, bringing her total sentence to 30 months after she killed and ate a cat. Wow. Also trending this morning, there have been allegations by O.J. Simpson's former bodyguard that allegedly he had recordings of O.J. admitting to murdering Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. He got it on tape. No, the whole thing's so no, there were no murder confessions found in the recordings. Police said, and police listened to them, they said they didn't locate any information of value at all. But he had been out there, again, trying to, and most of the audio is just him. You just hear him. Don't even. This is a crazy story. This is a woman who was out searching for her missing cat in Pennsylvania. So she's out searching for her missing cat, and this happened overnight. So it would have been Monday night into Tuesday. And she fell down. They believe, authorities believe she fell into a sinkhole. They can't find her. They don't know what happened. So dozens of first responders, police, firefighters, search and rescue teams, they were on the scene at a restaurant looking for the 64-year-old woman. And in a news conference then last evening, they said they hadn't been able to make contact with her for more than 24 hours after she disappeared. Crews have been able to get into the abandoned mine where she fell, and it's still considered a rescue mission. So she was last seen Monday evening around 5. She was looking for her cat. And then it wasn't until about 1 a.m. that a family member called police to report that she had not come home. So, wow, you got to hope the best for the 64-year-old woman out looking for her cat and not coming home. And what may have happened? Did she fall down a sinkhole? That's the case. Hope authorities are able to find and rescue her. Also, a Delaware judge ruled on Monday that Elon Musk still is not entitled to receive a $56 billion compensation package that he received from Tesla. And the company had voted in June to reinstate it. But the ruling by the judge follows her January decision that called the pay package excessive and rescinded it, surprising investors. And Elon Musk, in a post after the decision, said that Shareholders should control company votes, not judges. Tesla said the ruling is wrong and we're going to appeal. And they said the judge had overruled a supermajority of shareholders. So does it come as a surprise to you that a judge has made the decision that Elon Musk's not entitled to that money from Tesla, even though the supermajority of Tesla shareholders believe that Elon Musk should have been paid? It's frustrating. Also, a former Kansas police detective was found dead on the same day that his federal trial was scheduled to begin. He worked for decades with the Kansas City Police Department before retiring. And in 2022, he was accused of sexually abusing 2 women during his career. And so before his federal trial could begin, unfortunately, he committed suicide. And also there is I want to share this story. There was months of controversy surrounding a transgender player on the team of San Jose State University and the women's volleyball team. They actually lost to Colorado State University over the weekend. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. 6:57, partly cloudy, 35. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Thanks for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. Always much appreciated. Please come back at 9:30 for the 4th hour. And you have a great Wednesday. Great Wednesday. Take care.
Fiddlesticks, not the plow. Winter driving you mad, like Mark?